Hi, everybody. Amber here. Welcome back to In Conversation with ATF. Now, I made a bit of a mistake. And when we first did this, I forgot to hit record. So we're doing this again. So I'd like to introduce my guest, Mr. Joe Leahy. Hello, Joe. How are you doing today?
Just swell.
Awesome. And honestly, we were doing so well and just like, oh man, we had such a good interview and just I had it was magical. So I'm gonna try and make up for that if I can. So Joe, you've done a lot of things. Your vocal cords have been sprinkled all over our television screens for the past 40 years. You've done roles such as Razorclaw in the original G1 Transformers cartoon. You were the Grey Ghost narrator in Batman the Animated Series. You voiced announcers in shows like Animaniacs and Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries. But everyone mainly knows you for being the voice of our narrator, Joe Leahy, in Freakazoid. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, yeah. So, you know what? We'll start with that. We'll do things a little bit differently this time. We're going to start with MeTV tunes. Now, as you
Ah,
said
yeah.
when we spoke before,
Mhm.
MeTV are Freakazoid is going to be a part of the new MeTV tunes along with Rockin'
Yes.
Bullwinkle. Yeah. So, how do you feel about that? Are you going to
Well,
tune in?
I'm thrilled, of course. I'm yippee. Yes. Very pleased about the circumstance. Yes, we're going to
Yeah.
be on with Rocky and Bullwinkle, which I love, my favorite show. I think most of the people in the voice business appreciated Rocky and Bullwinkle, at least the ones I admire.
Oh
So,
yeah.
you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Definitely, because we the last time we spoke was for my Bill Scott documentary, which has now been
yes,
turned
that's
into a
wonderful.
book.
I like that.
Thank you. Thank you. And you're gonna be in the book. Because there was a few you and a few others who weren't in the initial documentary. It was just I had at least 50 people interviewed for potential sort of bits in between, and only about sort of 20-25 ended up making the final cut. So I had to say
Oh,
to a lot of
well, I'm
people,
honored.
sorry. Yeah. But honestly, but I got to thank you though, Joe. Thank you just so much for being, contributing to it, being a part of the initial interview, and now you're going to be in the book. And just, oh man, I'm so happy. Like, you're still, involved in this project. It's just, oh my gosh, it's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I say, my pleasure.
Awesome. Now, yeah, Me TV Tunes. It's coming in about 42 days, which is like,
Will it be a new channel or
I'm
just the
not
cartoons that
sure.
they used to show? They won't have that.
I I'm not sure, actually. I mean, we
It
don't
won't
get
be
Me
in,
TV in the
shouldn't be in
UK.
the format of the fellow that's on. Oh, you don't get me TV anyway. So
Nope.
what do you know? What do you care?
Or I just get all my info off social media. So
Oh
it's
yes.
at least I got YouTube and
Well,
stuff to get on the cartoons
I
on.
think it's
So
going to be great. I think we're going to
me
be on
too.
with Rocky, and we're looking forward to it.
Me too. I mean, they're bringing back a lot of old favorites and as well as sort of some kind of like sort of towards modern day, as in like sort of Freakazoid and stuff from like sort of the mid 2000s, and then just all varied content. And I'm excited for it. I really am. Even if it might not be airing in the UK, I'm still happy for them.
Oh, well,
hmm So Mr. Wally Burr, of course, you
yes.
worked with him on the G1 Transformers cartoon. You appeared in season 3 as Razorclaw, the Predacon. What was it like working with him? Because everyone I know has a lot to say about him, whether it's good or bad. He's like, Marmite, you like him or you don't like him.
Well, I've learned to appreciate him a lot more since I've been out and he's been out. Anyway, he was very kind to me. He gave me employment when I needed it, and I was initially in GI Joe, just some small parts, probably not even listed, but it gave him a chance to see if I was going to, be weird or do something embarrassing for the show. So after that, he cast me in the Transformers, and that was very nice. We had very good voices and very wonderful people, and great place to learn. And Wally, he had a unique style, I must say. Not everyone agreed with him, but it made it fast. It made it fairly simple, and he had something in his head that he knew, and he wanted to get it out, and he did. No matter how long it took for some people. I never had that problem because I would just mimic whatever he did, and it didn't have to do with my ego or the way I understood this character to be. I wasn't quite that emotional about the whole thing. I just felt like I was having a job, and it's really great to have a job and use my voice and be like playing the piccolo. And someone wants to hear it this way, no problem. I'll play it that way. I have the skills. So anyway, that's why I felt about Wally. Go ahead, throw me another challenge, Wally. I'll be able to do it.
Well,
Some people took
okay.
it very seriously, and they had the interpretation and the things, and if it went against their personal view, they could get emotional about it. But I never had that problem, so I thought Wally was a good guy.
He was one of a kind, that's for sure. Definitely.
Yes, I could see he
Yeah.
had some military training. It seemed to me.
I was, yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, these 8 hour long sessions. I mean, a full school day for me when I was younger would have been like 6 hours. So that's like, yeah, I wouldn't have managed that. Look, I'm a voice actress myself. I love voiceover, but anything past 8 hours, yeah, no. At least 2 hours max.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and then for Wally, it's a much longer day because he's got the editing. He's got to listen to everybody's voice over and over again to see how it fits in and what to trim and what to do over and what to go on and say that's the best we can get. And so there's a lot more hours involved than just the recording of the initial cast.
See, that's one thing that interested me when you brought up GI because I never knew you were in it. You're not credited online anywhere, so that was something
I
new I
was,
learned.
yes, I was in it, but I remember I was in it. Nobody else does, and it's just as well. I'm sure I didn't do much. Yo Joe, that's probably my biggest part.
Knowing is half the battle. Well, you learn something new every day, and I love it. I love it. I mean, I learned something new. That is awesome. Um, Another Wally Burr client, Mr. Frank Welker. Of course, you worked with him not just on the Wally Burr shows, but also a lot of the Warner
Yes,
Brothers cartoons and stuff. What was it like
yes.
to work with him?
Well, Frank's great. I mean, he's a consummate professional. I think he does what he does as well as anyone can do. And
Mm-hmm.
I had heard about him before I came to Los Angeles from a friend of mine from Denver. He started out in Denver, as far as I know, on the local stations and things, and he latched onto these animal voices, which was a perfect fit for him. It's kind of his milieu. He could found that way to operate, and it was unique, and it was very convincing, and he's still obviously the best at doing anything like that. And a very nice guy too. He was always friendly to me. I
Yeah.
didn't know me from Adam, but anyway, he was a nice guy.
Yeah, and like as we were talking about before we started this second room, you were at TF Con in March for your first ever convention appearance, and you didn't get to meet Frank, which I'm kind of upset. Like there were some guests there who didn't get to meet Frank on the Sunday, and just like everything was sort of everything was overbooked. I think with Frank and Peter, like they overbooked a lot of the autograph and photo op tickets, so they ended up running at least 2 hours behind. They were still doing morning autograph sessions mid-afternoon, and just I don't think it was that well thought out, well planned. And then for their panel, I feel really bad now because I was gonna come to the panel that you did, but I was in the queue for Frank, and just
Yeah.
like that was most of my Sunday just queuing up. And look, I love Frank and Peter as much as the next fan, but just I spent 90% of my day queuing, and it made me miss out on a lot of things. I would have loved to have come and seen you. I mean, if you're at the next if you're at the next one in LA next year, I will definitely come to your panel.
Well,
I cross my fingers crossed. I pinky promise, I will.
yes. Well, let's hope so. It's not a fact is
Yeah.
clear.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
don't think they really expected quite the enormous turnout for those guys and for the whole thing. They sold out of the convention, and it was very successful for them. I think so.
Yeah.
Happy. It was a
Yeah.
new experience for me. I didn't realize there were that many devoted people that had been loyal Transformer fans.
Would you like to do more Comic Cons in the future?
Yes, depending on, you know, circumstances, of course. Uh,
Yeah,
you know,
I think you'd be great. Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say, because if they get like people who starred, like if they got Paul Rudd who voiced Freakazoid doing a Comic Con, or if they got Rob Paulson doing a Comic Con, you
sure.
honestly you'd
They
be
still do. They
awesome.
travel around and just collect the Momo.
Yeah. So they're like doing like Comic Cons and stuff like that. And yeah, speaking of obviously Comic Cons, the one in the massive G1 reunion, it was just I went because G1 was like the first series that I properly, got me into Transformers. So I was like, I've
Uh-huh.
got to go to this one. And then like I met you and Bo Weaver, and you both made your first appearances at a convention all together, not just ATF Con, which is
Oh,
quite
that's right. Yeah, both. Huh? Mm-hmm.
yeah, he was awesome. He was really lovely. I mean, everyone was there was really lovely. Like I would just go up to their table and because like, it's not like sometimes when you go to a convention and the voice actor they don't know you, so you introduce yourself. It's like, oh hi, nice to meet you. Every time someone
Huh.
there saw me, they'd be like, Amber, hi, and be like, oh, you know me. Well, of course you know me, but just it just
Well,
felt really lovely. It really
I
did.
think that's right. They should be that way. You know,
Yeah.
these
Mm-hmm.
sulky voice actors, who needs them?
I know they're just the nicest people. Everyone in the business is so nice. I know there's only like one or two sort of not nice people, but everyone else is nice. Everyone is nice. Okay.
Uh-huh. Well, there's a lot more. I mean, with actors, not voice actors, but actors, there's a lot
Mhm.
more variance, let's say, and a lot more personal problems or temperaments and things like that that they feel they need to
Yeah.
act. And I
Hmm.
don't think voice people have quite so much personality or ego involved that they have to
Yeah.
live the part and ruin their
Hmm. Yeah.
personal
Like
lives.
like voice actors don't do the work for the money. They simply just do it because they love the job. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because in a lot of animated films recently, it's been like, celebrities voicing people, animals, cartoon characters in animated films purely just so like they put the name on a poster and
Sure.
you see the name and it's just like, oh, such and such is in this film. Let's go watch it because such and such is in this
Yeah,
film. That's all it is these days.
yeah,
It really
quite a
is.
bit. And you can
Mhm.
kind of tell that by the performance that you get sometimes. Um, I don't know. They do a good job, but yeah, I can see.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people that do voices, the money is a secondary thing, and that the real thing is it's fun. It's like playing an instrument,
Mhm.
voice, and having a lot more range than you do in conventional movie acting or anything
Yeah.
like that. It's so tight and confined and very little slipping away. You can kind of let loose in the cartoons,
Yeah.
and everyone
Hmm.
has a good time too. That they don't get too worked up about.
Yeah, of course. And someone who didn't like sort of casting sort of celebrities or well not casting them because I know she did cast a lot of them for cartoons, but just like I don't know, sort of like using them for name value for the sake of like fame or value or anything like that. I know I probably got that wrong, but it was just an excuse to bring up Andrea Romano. Um yeah,
Yes,
but she's awesome, just I gotta
yeah,
ask, you've worked with her on a lot of shows.
a few years. Mm-hmm.
Wow,
A
just
few more.
what yeah,
Anyway,
I was gonna
she's
say
wonderful. She's great. I yes, I've
gonna
been
ask.
over to the house and we
Oh,
talked
well,
about repairing her water system, her sprinkler system. I think she got it taken care of. Anyway, she's a very nice woman.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
was a great
Mhm.
director. I mean, I enjoyed. She always was constructive in her suggestions, and they weren't too many. They were just kind of let you go, and it was good. It worked pretty well for everybody. I think. I've never heard anything bad about her in the
Mhm.
entire time. So.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, like she's one of the greats. I met her on one of my last days in Burbank. I had dinner with her at the Burbank, the smokehouse in
Oh, the
Burbank.
smokehouse. Oh, yes.
That's where everyone knows about the
Oh, we used to go
smokehouse.
there every week. I mean, old friend of mine, Al Christie, was an actor, and he's passed on now. But anyway, we would meet there about once a week. A lot of double dish, deep dish martinis. Very fun.
Wow. I'm just like,
Everyone loves the garlic bread.
I know the garlic bread. Like, I only really briefly had some. Like, I mean, all I do remember from it, because everything was just happening at once. All I remember is that they had the best apple pie I've ever had in my life. Beautiful. Love the dessert tray that they came out with was huge. I was like, whoa, just so many choices and just wow, so nice, so awesome. It was very lovely.
Nice to see an old red booth restaurant where there's, that whole setup without the modern folding chairs and the bright gray walls and the really high tech conventional uncomfortableness of the modern trend.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was sort of there, it was like it's hard to explain, but like there's the sort of like wall, and there's like so that's like the wall. There's the sort of walkway going towards this way, going towards the front of the restaurant. The table was right here next to the wall. I was sitting on a seat, and it was the seat that was sticking out in the sort of sort of like the walkway that was going up. And I remember turning to my right, and Andrea Romano was walking down towards me. I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I was like she is probably like out of everyone I met on that trip, I was probably starstruck. Not even by Frank Welker, I was probably starstruck the most by her. I was like, what do I do? Okay. And then it's just like, oh my god, okay. Hi, Andrea, how are you doing? It's just like, just snapped back into it. I was just, oh man, she's just awesome. She made me so happy and just.
Well, yes, she doesn't need any of that artificial stuff. She's actually good at what she does. And
Yeah.
the insecure people are the ones that you get trouble with once in a while.
Oh yeah, and of course, we were talking about before the Grey Ghost session of Batman. How you sat in the session, you did it all ensemble because Andrea loves it ensemble sessions. So
Oh,
you did
sure,
it
that's the
like
way to do it, like an
Kevin
orchestra.
Conroy, from Zimbalist, Adam West, Bob Hastings, just all these people, just to be a fly on the wall in that session. That would have been perfect for me. That must have been so awesome.
Well, Adam West was fun. They always everyone. I think they clapped when he came in or when he left. Anyway, I remember some applause was involved with his Exeter entrance, and
Oh wow.
he became a kind of Batman. Of course, made him in the
Yeah.
cartoon to have the star. He was in a lot of stuff though before that, in little TV shows and things. Never movies, but always Alfred Hitchcock or the Twilight
Yeah.
Zone or something. Late night TV, which I watch all the time. So to see
Yeah.
people I know or something.
And then of course Andre would then cast you on all these other shows that she voice directed, so like Animaniacs, Sylvester and Tweety Mysteries, where you played like a few announcer roles. And then of course along came Freakazoid.
Yes.
Um, how did that all come about? How did you become the sort of fictional Joe Leahy?
Well, I always felt that announcers were a character more than anything else, and I
Mm-hmm.
always admired them. I always liked Ed Hurley on the Perry Como show. I always liked oh Harry Bonzel on the George Burns show. He was in the show too. The announcers were
Yeah.
actually characters in the show, and they would do the announcing, but they were friends with the stars, and they were always talking to them and having discourse as announcers. And Don Wilson, I think it was, on the Jack Benny show. Every great star had a pretty good announcer. So, and they would join in the humor and have jokes, not always at their expense, but just throwing in regular jokes sometimes. So it was nice, and I always thought those guys were pretty interesting. I like the voices. I like the whole radio style. I like the movies where they have a voiceover announcer, Paul Frees or somebody like that. It was quite well.
Sorry.
I aspired to, I guess.
Yeah. And how did you sort of land the role? Were you just asked to audition? Was it a general audition, or were you,
I
sort
think they
of?
just cast me actually.
Yeah, I was gonna say because then obviously your character was then called Joe Leahy, so it was
But
technically.
I think they, yeah, I think Paul and Paul Rugg and John McCann, and
Mm-hmm.
Andrea was there, and my gosh, Tom
Ruger.
Ruger, yes. Um, I don't know. As I read the script, we had a read through or something. They all just cracked up. Everything I said was just hilarious because I was doing this announcer character and talked like and
Yeah.
today what was all a lot of great adventure. It was just old style kind of thing, and with a tongue in cheek and kind of not too much to make fun of it, but just expressing a character of
Yeah.
that time period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Did you ever get to meet Steven Spielberg?
yes,
Oh.
even Spielberg, of course. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
he put the cartoon shows on that year.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that's what I thought. Because like he did that and he did Tiny Toons and he
He
sort of
did
did
Earthworm
Animaniacs.
Jim, and of
Earthworm
course,
Jim, yeah.
and then the one about Pinky and the Brain, and,
Yes, yes.
and Freakazoid. So
Mm. Wow.
I
Yeah,
remember
I was gonna say he's like a powerhouse and just seeing like this whole cast, just David Warner was in it and
David Warner.
just
Yes, he was a nice
David
man.
Warner, yeah, yeah, and just wow. Of course, Frank Welker was in it. Tim Curry was in it. Wow, Stan Freberg. Wow, I'm just reading through all of these sort
Well,
of cast members. This is
Asner was
awesome.
pretty special. I don't know. I liked him.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say, I'm just
There's a lot of
having.
celebrities. I mean, not who else was the guy from um oh no, it was a midnight show forever. Um and sorry, I'm just so
That's okay. Like I'm having a look. Ed Asner was in it. Ed Gilbert, Jonathan Harris.
Jonathan
Marie.
Harris. We're friends with Jonathan Harris pretty close. He
Oh,
was a
were
big
you?
guy. He was just
Awesome.
like that. And he said he was from Brooklyn. I said, well, how did you get to talking the way you talk? Because you're not sounding like Brooklyn at all. He says, we were just pretentious. We were just, put ons. Very, very funny.
What is
Very
there?
nice man.
Wow,
Uh,
Ricardo Montalban was in
Ricardo
it.
Montalban was very nice. He had a silly toupee at
Wow.
the time, but he was a very nice man, very gracious. He knew what was
This is
going on.
this is like it is a very stacked show. Just a lot of the cast members, just I recognize their names. Of course, Frank Welker, you can just see pop up multiple times. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, just it's such a unique show, and now it's coming back to sort of technically going back to MeTV Toons. I
Yes,
still don't know if
yes.
that's going to be a separate channel or if it's going to be a block, but the way people are talking about it makes me think it's going to be a separate channel. I think it is.
You gave me that impression. Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
Yeah. And honestly, just like I am excited. I am so excited. And then of course in 2020, Teen Titans Go sort of did a Freakazoid crossover, and it says, oh, according to not Tom, sorry, according to Paul Rugg, the production team for the show had sent him a script involving Freakazoid in December 2019, which he approved. This episode has Paul Rugg, David Warner, Ed Asner, and Joe Leahy reprising their respective roles.
yes.
That is awesome. So, was that ensemble as well, or was that separate?
No, that was all. David was in London, and Ed was wherever he was at the time, and I came in by myself and did the stuff. And it was fine. It wasn't as much fun as when you have a room full of yucked
Oh
up
yeah.
people, But it was good. I was disappointed that they didn't pick it up, but I could see where kind of two different eras clashing and two different audiences, perhaps. The Teen Titans certainly is coming from a different place than Freakazoid's coming from.
I mean, it makes me kind of sad that ensemble recording sessions aren't really a thing anymore. It's mainly since like due to COVID, people have just stayed at home, built their own home studios, and just recorded over like Zoom or Source Connect or something like that. When I was sort of getting into the business, I was like, I want to visit LA someday. I want to go to a big recording session with everybody in it.
Yeah,
and then COVID hit, and then just
it's a lot more
yeah,
fun.
yeah.
And
I presume that. Just
we
honestly,
even
everyone.
went to watch the music being scored with a full orchestra, not a full orchestra, but 20 people maybe, and we were able to watch that during the whole session and the picture up on the wall and for Freakazoid. It was a lot of fun.
Wow. Yeah, because if I recall correctly, that was who was it? It was Stephen and Julie Bernstein who composed it.
Bernstein,
Freakazoid.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I thought it might have been. Yeah. Well, no, Richard Stone
Richard
composed
Stone
the theme
was
song.
yes,
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, he did a lot of the Warner Brothers shows actually. Yeah, he did
he did
Tiny
all of the
Toons.
music pretty much for quite a while.
Yeah, all of them apart from the DC shows. He did Road Rovers as well. That's very interesting. Yeah,
Hmm.
there's oh man, I need to. There's so many people out there who I need on my show. I'm just
Yeah.
trying to get as many people. I'm just like they're like Pokemon. I'm just trying to catch them all.
Well, the
Love it.
figures are coming back and make some current again. So even if they've been sitting on the shelf now, that maybe they'll come down for a bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sometimes like I just ask people, yeah, do you want to come on for a part two? We can talk again and stuff like that. And they do come
Yeah,
back on and we have a catch up and stuff like that. So
yeah.
honestly, that would be really cool. Yeah, Joe, I'd love to do a part two with you in the future. For sure.
Hmm. Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, definitely. This is something that caught my eye when I had a look at your resume on IMDb. It says
Mhm.
in your sort of like, different sort of miscellaneous work that you were standing on the Flintstones movie.
I was.
Apparently
Hmm.
so, according to
One of those credits
IMDb.
you don't remember much about the Flintstones movie. Oh no, I don't know about that.
One with John Goodman in it. Yeah, it just
Yes,
says
John
like,
Goodman.
yeah, it just says like,
I didn't stand in for John Goodman. I'm sure of that.
oh no, no, I just presumed like I don't know, it just says you're credited and it says standing. I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know if it was ADR work or that's literally all it says. So I don't know.
Well, I
Very
don't
odd.
know. I'm not.
It will remain a mystery to
Well,
everybody.
yes.
Mm.
Let's keep it that way. I think it's
It
better.
was something that's up to you to figure it out yourself. Now, another thing that caught my eye is that IMDb tells me it
Right.
says you are a painter.
Oh well, I paint. Yes,
That
I
is
have a
not
chance to less lately, but um, yeah, I
mm,
paint little landscapes and things. I'm out in the country here, so it's nice, very
wow.
relaxing. I don't know. I mean, it's good for me. I don't know how good it is for everyone else, but I have sold a few, and people seem to like them. And I have to realize where my strengths lie in painting. You can't just go around and paint
Mhm.
everything. And
Well,
I don't. Yeah.
it is awesome simply because I studied art as one of my high school sort of leaving grad qualifications. So I had to do like a 6 hour long art exam and I painted like a massive canvas of myself with different elements like paint pens and shading and different stuck different things on it and it came out really interesting and just I tend to paint using paint pens because I just
Uh-huh.
find paint sort of in this place too messy for me, but at like my high
The
school in
details
the
those
art.
pens are great. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, I like to smear the paint around too, but those paint pens, if you're going to put in some detail and things, they're a lot easier to manage than a brush, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. With the thing is with my paint pens, they're very limited in color. So it's a matter of if you want a
Ooh.
specific color, you've just got to try and, like push down so like the paint comes out in a little
Mm-hmm.
blob and then you get a paintbrush and you mix it with another color. That's what I had to do from one of my past canvases because I didn't have the correct shade of gray. So I had to sort of, sort of improvise a little bit, but now I'm like, well, if the color's close enough, I'll just use it. So
Well, you
I'm
can
just
color paint. I mean, you could probably paint the background to get the color you want, and then for details, you could use a paint pen or something, one of those little fine feather tip things that has all the colors come in
yeah,
and on top of the color, put the drawing on top of the color rather than the opposite way.
yeah.
I don't. That's what.
Oh, that does sound like a good idea. Now I'm tempted. I'm really tempted, like to do more art, because I usually do art for people who go to Comic Cons, but now I'm just thinking I should do art generally now, like just for fun,
Yes,
just for fun
yes, but
stuff.
again, the Comic Con art, I think, is just beginning to. It's all urban art, I guess. They have a category for it. It's just not Superman and Marilyn Monroe and things
Yeah.
like that. But usually they can get the initial things and then add. They get some even a print or something and then add the paint to it after that. It seems like my son does that kind of thing.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Uh,
Yeah, I was gonna say because was art, was it a hobby? Did you have you done it for like years, or is it something that you've only recently gotten into, or?
well, I guess about I get. Well, I had this house in Sherman Oaks, and they had a great big art studio. It used to belong to a man named Herbie Ryman. He was a Disney artist. He kind of
Mm-hmm.
was involved with the castle at Disneyland and
Oh
lots
wow.
of paintings. And he was getting well, he
Mm-hmm.
sold paintings sold from 65 to $100,000, and he was an illustrator basically, but he was also enjoyed painting. So he had a big studio there. It's kind of like a church or something. And I well, my family and children lived there, but we had a little house in back. Well, actually, we had two little houses back, and actually, we had three little houses back. Anyway, this friend of mine, who was a painter, decided he wanted to get out of where they were, and so they came and lived with us in the little house for a long time, and so he would paint in the studio every day, and he would let me paint with him, and so I learned a lot about painting and appreciation at that time. So that was
Wow.
that was a few years back, I guess. The
Ooh.
the 80s, I mean the 90s, I guess it was. Yeah, the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah. Well, I find. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go
Go
ahead, go
ahead.
ahead. You no, no, go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say, I find it so fascinating how a lot of voice actors, well, of course they do, they have secondary sort of jobs or hobbies outside of voiceover, like Peter Cullen does horse riding,
Oh
equestrian
yeah,
stuff, polo, and then Frank is a pilot, like
yes,
an actual pilot.
he was always flying the guys around. I remember they go play golf somewhere with him, taking his
Yeah, and he
plane.
plays golf. Yeah, he's a golfer. Yeah. So I just find it so interesting because these people for one thing and one thing only, and that's voiceover. But then you don't think, oh yeah, Frank Welker, I know him. Yeah, the pilot. Or yeah,
Yeah,
the man who does golf, and just think,
yeah.
okay. So yeah, like
Um,
I know you now as a painter, which is I think is really awesome because that
yeah,
is a mutual
yeah. Well,
interest.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, but it's fun. It's very relaxing, and it's a very good thing to do psychologically.
It
So
is, yes.
yeah,
It
I find it
really is.
extremely
It's,
good for
I used
blood
to
pressure, everything.
I used to love it, in high school. Like we'd get like a double art session, so like an hour of art. I was like, okay, I can work on these projects. And when it involved painting, I was like, okay, no one distract me. I'm just gonna paint. That's all I'm doing for the hour. Just don't distract me unless it's something important. Okay. Now we just sit there mixing paints and stuff and just
Yeah.
like, making these really detailed, like I think pop art was probably one of my favorites to do. And then there was this other sort of shading one that I did, and then another one I did with different shades of grey and stuff. And I'll have to try and dig out a lot of my art stuff because I did manage to save it when I left high school. So I'll try and send them over to you on an email at some point.
Oh, great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to see them. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to start doing those again. Like, sometimes, you lose the confidence and then it just perks up again at some
Well, you have to
points.
have the right setting. For years now, I haven't been able to paint because, oh, I don't know, I was set up somewhere and they moved, and I haven't been a place like that. I haven't been out here for a long time, so
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to get back to painting again. It's you can go into your
Yeah.
own world and nothing to distract you. Everything is just something you have control over for a change. Instead of letting everything control you, it's very nice to just mixing colors and seeing what happens, taking chances, and you can always get rid of it if you don't like it.
Yeah.
Over it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it keeps your juices flowing. It keeps you very much engaged in something that's personal and kind of private, but something your own world.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I am terrible at paying attention to stuff like in class. I wouldn't really pay that much attention if someone's sort of talking like sort of outside. I wouldn't listen, but if it's like interviewing or painting, I could just be fixated on it for hours. And sometimes when I'm editing my videos, I'm like, I can't focus on this. I just need to go outside for a little bit. But no, with art, I can just do it for 2 hours straight, and I wouldn't even know.
Yeah, yeah, that's the
Mhm.
thing. Yeah, it's wonderful. And it's hard to paint if you don't have the right atmosphere or environment.
Yeah.
My
Mhm.
friend Sergio, the painter who lived with us, he went out to Palm Springs. I think we went out there with him or met him out there. Anyway, he went out to Palm Springs for some contest, open air painting, and they were all there. But he didn't feel right. The people were definitely not the kind of people he was used to dealing with. And
Mhm.
he did a very nice painting. I think I've got it in the other room, but anyway, he he didn't win. He didn't win the contest, and so he
Oh,
thought it was all a
I'm
terrible waste
sorry.
of time. And these people were
Mm,
crass and they were,
yeah.
different than
Mm,
his, different background, different politics, I'm sure. Anyway, it was you could see that this man was a very good painter and paints wonderful pictures, but without the proper psychology or surrounding, it didn't have much luck. It didn't come to life, didn't gel.
yeah. Yeah. And it's just it's an art form. Technically, it's just a form of art. It just doesn't, it never
Yeah.
gets dry. I need to stop with the puns. I was gonna say it never dries out. It's never gonna go out of trend or anything. People just do it, just for
Mhm.
fun and stuff like that, and
Well, you
even
have
for
to have some
work.
technique, but I don't think that's the whole ticket. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I
talent
see what
goes
you're
so far
saying.
too, and then you kind of have to have the right psychology or the right whatever it is, instinct, right,
Yeah, yeah, I see what
emotion
you're saying.
behind it. So it's fun.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to talk about the Haunted Mansion. Um, of course, Paul Frees was the original ghost host, but when they
Oh yeah,
introduced new safety features a few years
yes,
later, you were called
yes,
in to redo the voice.
yes.
How did that sort of come about? How did that sort of go for you? How were you?
Paul Frees was always one of my heroes. I mean, somebody got me a Paul Frees tape or something. And I just thought he was wonderful. Everything he did, and so creative, and such a wonderful voice. And I love the fact that he narrated all those science fiction films in the 50s, and would come on to everything, and right up to was that thing Shogun when he did that in the 70s.
Mhm.
Uh, he was just always the best. And, the I just recently did last year, I guess it's been now, a big redo of the Haunted Mansion for Disney, and also some kind of they put it on TikTok. They did all kinds of scripts that had strange things, but they tell me they mix them all together and use all the vowels and sounds so they can
Mhm.
make any word they want to with the AI. And so I don't know if they do that again. I wasn't all for Disney, but Disney was behind it. It was Disney characters that were the hiring people. And so it's interesting. But then they did do a complete retake of the entire Haunted Mansion script with me doing it, and I think I got pretty close. I couldn't really tell where Paul Frees ended and I began on that one.
Hmm. I was gonna
So
say
you
haunted.
know,
Oh right, yeah. I'm just having a. Oh right, okay, okay.
he
Yeah, I'm
certainly
just.
made the voiceover business a business. I mean, where instead of just somebody reading the announcer, the local the disc jockey reading the ad, he made it something that was a more of a work of art or
Yeah.
something like that, commercial.
I'm just trying to find out something real quick. Do Oh, right. Disney adds Haunted Mansion to TikTok's text to speech. So that was you,
That
right?
was me. Yes, that was me.
Oh my, I'm trying to think. Wait, I've got to have a look at this real quick because if it is what I think it is, this
It
is
was
just
long. Talk about long sessions and
let me have
intensity.
a look.
You can't, and the scripts weren't. They didn't make sense exactly in English. It was It's hard work.
I'm listening to it right now. It does sound a bit like Paul Frees. Like, to be fair, yeah.
I hope it's better than a bit.
It is. It sounds really good. Yeah. And I was listening to it and I was thinking, is it the one that I keep hearing all over social media? It isn't, but that would have been, really cool if it was, because there's a specific text to speech sort of voice that I keep hearing. I don't know who it is, but they've got such a sort of deep voice like this. So people who know more about this TikTok than me will know what I'm on about. But yeah, but that's really cool. I don't know what sort of new safety spiels that they introduced to the Haunted Mansion, because I've never been.
Just things about stepping into the car and
Right.
everybody, and women were involved, or something about they had to change the genre or something. I'm not sure exactly. And they also repaired the Pirates of the Caribbean, which it's blended in there. You can't really tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, because when the Haunted Mansion has its revamp at Christmas, it's replaced with the Christmas ghost host, who's Corey Burton. Have you and him ever thought, oh yeah, we sound like Paul Frees? Would we just have a competition to see who sounds the most like Paul Frees?
Corey's really interested in competition with that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he is something, definitely. Yeah.
Involved with that.
Yeah, of course. He was in a lot of the he was in a few of the DC stuff. He was in, of course, the Wally Burr shows as well. So you've sort of been in the same stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I'd like to end this off by asking you, what are you currently up to nowadays? I presume you're still doing voiceover work, considering you did that Teen Titans thing not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
What have you been up to since?
Well, I most of the time I visit my children. My wife drags me along. At any rate, I've been doing some voiceover work, not as much as before. They don't have that much work out of in the hinterlands anyway. I like to stay at the farm and paint and read and cook and do things like that. I don't know. It would be nice to do some more of the Freakazoids and things like that. As far as the advertisements go, they're not as much fun anymore. They just don't. They're a different viewpoint. They're interested in let's get people that sound like everybody, and no drama and no cell or timbre or any of those things that they used to have on the radio, which made them kind of fun and different. It's more like let's go for real life, and we're looking for sincerity, and we don't care much about the sound quality, and we don't want those voices where your chair vibrated when you hear them on the radio and things. So it's a different situation.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Sorry, just my hair, just trying to bring my hair up a little bit. Yeah, just the advertising world has it's changed.
You've got
like the past. Yes, I do. Yes, just
very nice.
Just, thank you. So yeah, and also like my hair is like really like blonde streaks, so I had them dyed a few months ago, so I need to get them topped up. Yeah, that kind of looks worse than I did before, but I suppose that will do for the rest of the interview.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Well, Joe, I'm gonna do like a little, thank you for watching and stuff like that. And then
well, good.
And then before you go, I want to show you something that I got when I went to LA. Okay, sweet. Well, Joe, thank you so much for coming on my podcast, and I'd like to apologize dear-heartedly again for not recording the sort of initial Zoom call. I still feel awful about that, and I'm like, we've been doing so well. I'm so sorry. So I suppose it can't be helped. I just gotta try and remember next time to hit record as soon as the meeting starts.
Wait for the lady to say I'm recording now.
Yeah, well, at least it has been recording. Thank goodness. I was gonna say if it happened a second time, then I was like, nope, I'm not doing this again. We're just gonna leave this another day. We're just gonna stop. But I suppose
We do that.
it all turned out well in the end, so that's good. Um,
Well,
so thank you so much for coming on my show, and hopefully we can record a part 2 together someday.
yes, I do too.
Yeah, and we'll have to see each other. If you're at TFCon in March, I'd love to see you again if you're at the one in Los Angeles or
Well, that's in Los
Alpha.
Angeles in March.
Yeah,
Next.
it's always in Los Angeles in March. They have
Oh, okay. Well, I'll remember that. Try to.
yeah, of
Okay.
course. Yeah, you should come back. That's really fun. Or I'll try and make it out to sort of like the mid central standard time part of the United States to come and see you.
They have one in Florida anymore? They used to
Pardon?
have one. I said I think they had one in Florida at one time.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. Well, they have it all over. They have Orlando. They definitely do one in Toronto. And then they sort of change it from like Baltimore to Chicago to
Yeah.
Orlando, different ones, yeah. So yeah, it does change quite a bit. Um but yeah, I hope we can speak again soon. And to you
I
at
think so
home,
too. Thank you very
yeah,
much for everything.
you're welcome. And to you at home, thank you so much for watching this episode of In Conversation with ATF with the wonderful Joe Leahy, our narrator. I hope you liked it as much as I did filming it. All right. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you in another video. Take care,
Okay.
everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye. And cut.